Well, good evening. This is the Hangout with Susan Hyder. This is all things arts and crafts and artists. And tonight we have Bud Kinches with us. He is an author, a playwright, I guess. Well,
Playwright. Yeah. Author's coming, but playwright for now.
Yeah. So the first question is, how did you get into writing, or how did this play come to be? And we'll talk about the play later on in the show, but I want to find out how you became an artist in your art.
Sure. I have been writing since I was a kid. I don't really know. I was trying to think about, because you said that was going to be a question. I don't remember what age exactly, but I wrote short stories when I was a kid, and I would write like a chapter at a time, and I'd send them to my family, and I'd leave little cliffhangers. And then I'd write the next chapter, and then I'd mail out the rest of them. And then when I was in high school, I took creative writing. I've always loved to create. When I grew up with my grandfather, he would always play pretend with me. He was in World War II, so I would pretend I was in the Army, and he was my commanding officer. So I've always had a creative mind. And so I started writing when I was little. And then how the play came about, in 2012, I heard the Lord as clearly as I've ever heard him say, "I want you to write a play." I said, "Okay, what would you like the play to be about?" Nothing. I was like, okay, so I need to write a play, but he's not giving me direction. So I just prayed every time I sat down, said, "Holy Spirit, type through my fingers," and Judgment Day was born. But then we didn't officially launch it till last year. I'm not sure why I had to hold on to it for a decade, but I realized when we did it last year, with the way things were in our world in America, I thought, well, now's the right time. God knows what he's doing. He doesn't make mistakes. So I felt like it was the right time. And so now it's become an annual thing, of course, as you know, because you have been a part since the beginning. We did our second show this year, and it will be an annual thing here in Cleveland. But then we are expanding outside of Cleveland, and I know we'll get to that. So, but that's the quick version of how it all started.
The quick version.
Yeah.
So you wrote short stories and sent them out to your family.
Yes.
So how many family members did you make, like copies and send them out, or handwrite them?
I did. No, I typed them on the computer. I fiddled with computers since I was young too. So I would type it out and print out, I don't know, my aunts and some cousins, and so there's probably like 5 or 6, and of course my mom and dad, grandparents. Actually, it's probably more than that. So, yeah, would just type them up, print them, and it would be. I remember. I don't know why I remember this title. I don't remember any of them. The strangest baseball cards in the world. So it was a story about how this kid's baseball cards came to life.
Oh, okay.
So like if he had a Babe Ruth card, Babe Ruth would show up, and I don't remember all the details. I think I might have it somewhere. But that's kind of what it was. So just fun little stories. And this is probably before I was 13. So I was young, it was still in elementary school. And so, yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah.
So, he'll let us know if anybody has any questions, and if we.
Yeah, please do. I heard Wanda might be watching. Wanda, if you're there, hello.
She's not there yet.
Oh, is she not there yet? That's okay.
So anyway, so you wrote and sent to your family, and so you're 13, and then how old were you well, we're not going to say about how old, but that's a decade ago.
Yeah, I would have been 28, because last year I was 39, turned 40 this year. I don't care about that. So I was 28 when I wrote it, and then for that decade that I'm sitting on it, waiting to say, okay, Lord, when can we do it? I would pull it out every now and then and just tweak it and tweak it and tweak it. And with this story this year, I wrote this story this year, so I didn't have as much time to sit on it. So I had to keep tweaking. Then finally I had to say, okay, it's done. Because I could sit there forever and find something to tweak and that sort of thing. But, yeah.
So so it took you a decade.
For the first one, yeah. Well, it didn't take that long to write. I wrote it in probably like a month and a half, and then I just sat on it for a decade.
How did you know it was time?
Well, actually, in 2021, I started putting a team together, and there were some things that happened that kind of let me know that it still wasn't the time, but I felt like 22 was it for sure. So it was just without going into a lot of details, just like, the venue and stuff like that. Couldn't find a venue in 21, so I was like, okay, I'll just take this as a sign from the Lord. Back in the day, I probably would have been mad and upset because, I can't find a venue and blah, and the God needs me to do this, and I need to do it. But I was a little bit older, a little bit wiser. I was like, okay, I'm not finding the venue for 2021, so let's keep looking. 2022 came around, I found the venue, and then I knew. But that was just the beginning. Then I had to find the people. So, obviously, I've known you for a while. We met through the chamber here in Cleveland. So, I knew you did costumes. I didn't know you would be willing to act in it, but you told me you would. So, we had your role set. And
well, my role was set 2 weeks before the opening, if you remember. It was.
Oh, was it? I don't remember.
Me and Rick and.
I thought we found you sooner.
No, it was like 2 weeks out. Because you
that's
had
true.
a bunch of people that dropped out, and it was me and Rick's mom.
Oh.
And
Eileen.
Who? Eileen.
And Wanda.
Wanda.
And Wanda jumped in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wanda jumped in like a week before.
I think so.
Or in the middle. Oh no, Wanda jumped in when Rick's mom Eileen ended
was
up
in
in
the hospital. Yes. So Eileen did
Eileen
did the very first show with us on Friday. She played the doctor, I think.
The nurse.
The nurse, yes.
Because the first year Wanda was the nurse.
Because Debbie Havens was Dr. Cross. That's for you, Eileen, Dr. Cross. You're like, what is that? She's from New York, people. I love her accent. Anyway, that's right. And the hard thing was finding people. I stood in a room full of 100 people one day. It was packed from front to back. And not one person signed up to do it. And I started to get discouraged. I said, God, I know you called me to do this. And I know this is the year. And I know you're not going to set me up to fail. And so everything, and you're right, I forgot about that. You coming in at the last minute there. Yeah. And then we lose Eileen after the first night, which of course that was not her fault. She had to go to the hospital. So that's fine. That was completely out of her control. But we had some people that just dropped out at the last minute. 1 week before the show. So shout out to Saber Sams, who came in and was playing a smaller role, but then ended up taking the bigger role. So
the main role.
And then somebody came in and played the smaller part that he was playing, and so it just all worked out. So if God calls you to do something, whatever obstacles you face, do not give up, because He made a way, and 9 people, I'm happy to say, and all glory to God. I don't take any credit for this. But God gets all the glory. But 9 people gave their heart to Christ during that 4 days of the first year.
So it's always the 28th through 31st.
Yes.
Depending on the year, it depends on what day of the week it is.
Correct. And somebody said, why those dates? And I said, I just feel like those dates came from the Lord. I had those dates in my mind way, kind of like in the middle of that decade, I think, is when I got those dates. The big thing is ending on Halloween night, the most evil night of the year. And Susan can tell you, not this year, I don't know, I know what happened this year. Last year, I think we had 230 people. Halloween night was the biggest night. So on a night when, a lot of evil stuff is happening, we're casting the nets. This year, it was not as well attended, but, that's okay. Parking was our issue this year. But anyway, yeah, so those dates will never change unless the Lord says to. But I think those dates are from the Lord, and that's what it'll be every year. So.
Okay, so the first story, where did you base it on anything, or was it just out of the blue?
I did a lot of after I graduated high school. I spent many years doing youth ministry at my church. Shout out to North Cleveland Church of God. That's my home church. And I wanted to write a story around young people because I know there's so many bad influences for young people today, drugs, alcohol. Shh. Knucklehead wants to be part of the show. Anyway, a lot of bad influences, and I come from a broken family, so that was part of the story. So I kind of just took my experiences from youth ministry, coming from a broken home, and having, dealt with a lot of young people, hearing different stories, kind of put all of that together, and that's where the first story came from. Well, and probably from the Lord too, because I had no direction for the first one. This year's story I did have. I knew what. I just knew this year's story.
When did you know this year's story?
Well, I'm trying to think of. I know what it was. I had somebody say, last year you did young people, this year you should do something about a family, and then something happens to the family, maybe like a car accident or something, and then somebody else completely different came and told me the same exact thing. I was like, okay, Lord, this year you're giving me the story. Now I just have to write it. And so that's what we did. So this year was all about the family, and how the devil wants to break apart families, and how the Lord can bring the families back together. So that's what this story was this year.
And we're not going to spoil what next year's is.
No, we can definitely give the location, because for the first time, this will be going into our third time doing it. We have the venue locked down 11 months in advance, and I cannot tell you what a source of, what a huge stress reliever that is. It's like a huge weight, because, this year I think it was July or August before I had the venue locked down. This year we have it locked down before the new year, so it's great. I didn't think about that.
We're not going to tell the story.
I guess we should. Just get ready. This is what everybody said. This year's show, a lot of people told me, and I actually agreed with, that this year's show was better than last year's. Well, I think that's what they're going to be saying next year. Next year's show is going to be better than probably both of them. And it's going to be a setup too, so that'll be fun, but that's all. I better be quiet.
We're not gonna,
yeah, I might slip.
Yeah, but I have a question. Do you have you had writer's block?
No.
Never had a day where you sat down to write and you just could not write anything?
I don't believe so. I don't want to lie inadvertently. I don't think I have. Even if I sit down and I don't have an idea, I just start typing and see what comes out. So no, I don't really feel like I've ever had it. Now there might be, dialogue that I've got to get right, but as far as writer's block, I don't believe so. Thank God. Don't let it ever happen. I'd hate, that'd be frustrating.
So where do you get the dialogue from? Do you pay attention to a lot of people?
I do.
Do people watch?
Yeah. Well, and I think the biggest thing for me is every time I sit down, I ask the Holy Spirit to type through my fingers, even if I know what next year's story is. And I will say this. You asked me about how I got the idea for this year's story. So I got the idea for next year's show. I went to an event called Tribulation Trail in Covington, Georgia. It was a long story how I met the people that do this, but they invited us out. They gave us free tickets. They said, come check it out. And there was one particular scene that happened, and as soon as I heard the character say what he said, it clicked. That's next year's show. Not stealing from them, but just taking that one scene and building our show around it. So don't want anybody to think I'm copying them. But no, going back to your question, every time I sit down,
their show is around the Bible anyway.
It is, yeah. We're both doing the same thing. We're just doing it differently. But every time I sit down, I ask the Holy Spirit to type. So sometimes I'll type for 5-10 minutes, and then I'll stop, sit back, scroll back, and read. And just, it's like, even the Holy Spirit's answering my question. He's typing through me. So maybe that's why, because I always depend on the Holy Spirit for guidance and direction. So like when God didn't give me direction for the first story, I said, okay, Holy Spirit, I still want you to help me and guide me and give me the story. And he did. And then, of course, this year I had the idea, but I still needed to write it. And then next year, so on and so forth. So that's kind of, as long as I sit down and pray, I'm usually pretty good. So
what's your favorite part about being a producer?
Oh, just creating the characters. One thing I do is I always try to name my characters after people that I know. So last year we just called her Grandma. We didn't give her a name. This year she played a grandma again. Yeah. So different grandma, different story, different character, and I named her Joyce after my grandmother. And I'm not sure what part she'll play next year, but I want to really keep the name Joyce because I miss my grandma. So.
Well, and the weird thing about it,
you
told me that it was my middle name is Joyce.
Yes, which is cool.
Which is really cool. I thought that was really cool. So you like the creating part. What was the?
Let me finish that actually.
Okay.
I love the creating part, and then when you sit down and I've had this dialogue on paper, and then you start hearing the words. So it starts coming to life. That's my other. So creating it and figuring it out and figuring out the sets and that's all fun. it can be challenging, but it's still fun. But then when you've written the dialogue and you've had it with you, so I had that dialogue for the first show for a decade, and then it's starting to come to life. I'm hearing it now coming out of people's mouths, and it's like, okay, this is cool. And then of course seeing the end product after 2.5 months ish of rehearsals and that sort of thing, and seeing it all come, the lights and the production part of it and all of that. So these are a few of my favorite things. There you go. So,
sounds like a song to
me.
For
the Christmas season. There you go, yeah.
But, okay, so what was the hardest thing about it?
I guess the hardest part is... I guess the hardest part can still be the parts that you enjoy, because you're trying to figure out how to do sets, for example. So I've worked with Rick. Shout out to Jim Veenstra, who's co-directed with me. Just trying to hash it all out and figure it all out. That can be challenging, as I said. Not so much frustrating, but just trying to make sure that you make it the best it can be. So, okay, we have an idea for the set, but then, okay, well, what if we do this? What if we do this? And just keep hashing it out until you can't do anymore, and this is going to be what it is, and then seeing it turn out. That's the challenging part.
So the sets are...
Yeah,
the sets have been awesome.
The sets have been great, and I'm just thinking next year I want to, and I don't mind sharing this, just beef up Heaven a little bit. Our Heaven scene both years has been phenomenal, Shout out to my friend Tommy Rowe over at Bradley Reynolds. We got those beautiful columns. Dennis Terry built our throne. If you saw the throne in both shows, it's made out of styrofoam. But John, our Jesus, can still sit down on it. And it's amazing. And I'm constantly thinking about it. So while I'm at this show in Covington, Georgia, my mind's going, I'm like, shut up. I just want to enjoy what they're doing. I don't want to think about what I'm doing, but I'm saying, ooh, that would be cool for some time. That would be cool. I mean, if I told you what they did, it's right up my alley. It's like I want to do it. So I cannot turn my brain off. And then I'm trying to sleep at night. It's like, okay, you got to do this, got to do that. So
okay,
yeah, it's hard to turn off.
So you did a lot of prayers. And a lot of work.
The other hard part, fundraising. I hate asking people for money, but it's part of it. You have to ask. I wish ministry were free, but obviously it's not. There's no art things out there that are free. It costs something. If you're going to make a quilt, you have to buy fabric. If you're going to do a play, you have to buy set pieces. You have to pay things and all of that. So I'm going to do the fundraising a little bit different. I've already getting my plan together, and as soon as we get after the New Year's holiday, I'm going to start earlier, and I think that'll take a little bit of stress off it, but I hate asking people for money. But if you do want to send in money, we'll tell you how.
We'll do that at the end.
We can, yeah.
But so yeah, of course, it costs money for posters.
Yes,
it costs money for
the merchandise.
For the merchandise to resell it.
Right.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your
Sorry, our guy behind the camera is cracking me up. Yeah, we talk about the merch. We will.
So, talk about your sponsors.
Yes. So we have several sponsors. I'll just go through these real quick. The Aspire Group is my good friend since middle school, Deron George. He has helped me build the website, and if I have questions, I'll call him. But he is actually shutting his business down at the end of this year. So it's like, I should still call him, I'm sure, but that's not what he's going to be doing full time. So we'll see. Inman Coffee, if you're in Cleveland. Inman Coffee, I know everybody's praying for Joe Rogers right now, who had a serious cardiac episode, and he's been in the hospital. I got to see him today. Please pray for Joe. But Inman Coffee helped us come up with this baby right here, our bestseller, and we will talk about it. We'll talk about that at the end. Mix 104.1 WCLE, everybody's favorite Clevelander, Steve Hartline and Bridget and Dwayne and the gang over there. They give us interviews and commercials.
I loved that interview that they did.
Yes,
this time, which is awesome.
So last year I came in and did an interview. I think Jim did an interview with me. Well, this year Steve said, "Why don't you bring in the whole cast?" So everybody was available. We brought in, and it was so cool. Steve was there. Dwayne was there. Love Dwayne and Bridget and all those guys. Yeah, we had the majority of the cast there, and Steve called each person to the podium, or Dwayne did, and each person got to say, this is who I am, this is who I play, and this is how I got involved, those kinds of things. So that's awesome. Charles and Sharon Atkins at PuroClean, they give us their digital billboard for 2 months every year. So we have a digital billboard for those watching in Cleveland. It's the one right over there behind the Juicy Seafood. So if you're going towards North Lee, going towards Charleston, it's the digital one right there. Threads Embroidery, they do all of our t-shirts and hoodies and hats, and what else do they do? I think that's what they do. Sky Media 423, that's my good friend Chris Nitt. He started a videography. Is that how you say it? Yeah.
Yes.
He has drones, and we actually went in to Judge Andrew Morgan's courtroom this year and shot some in his courtroom, and then he took his drone out and shot our billboards and made a killer promotional video. I got so many compliments on that video, so he will be working with us again.
Is he the one that also did the reporter video?
No, that was my good friend Jace Lewis. I had to think of his last name. Jace Lewis actually shot that and edited that for me with Eileen. This place that probably nobody knows about, called HyderHangout, Quilt Fabric and More. They tell you they want you to come in and get your more on, which is hilarious.
You helped come up with that tagline. You do know that, right?
Oh,
I
barely remember what I did yesterday.
we were in that lunch group that we're in, and they were talking about taglines, and I said I need to do something about the more part of my business, and you piped up and said, "Well, go into HyderHangout and get your more on," and then it's
all right.
It's
well, cool.
Stuck, and so it's. I think
be waiting
cool.
for the royalty checks in the mail.
Well, when it starts paying off, you'll get the royalty check.
No, I'm happy to do that. A few more. All Safe Storage, owned by my good friends Ed and Teresa Brown. They go to church with me. Ed has provided some storage for us. He has been phenomenal. So we have a place to store all of our set pieces and everything, because Lord knows I couldn't put all that stuff in my house anywhere. Wouldn't have any room. Good News Christian Magazine. That happens to be who I work for. Matt Ruckman is the owner. He gives us a couple of ads every year. In fact, this year we had a story, and we might be doing a cover story next year, which would be super cool. So we'll all be on the magazine cover.
Cool. Yeah, that would be cool.
And that'll go out in the community, so we'll really get the word out. And then last but not least, Isbell Tech Services. Our good friend Chris Isbell, which Susan and I both know Chris. He's helped out with some tech stuff. We weren't able to sync up, but I still left him on there. This year, we weren't able to sync up and get the tablets that we need, but it was okay. It didn't matter. We actually did okay. But I left Isbell Tech on there because Chris is great. So I actually have two great tech friends, so I don't want to forget about Chris. And that's the sponsors.
So here's the thing about sponsors. Mm-hmm. There's room for more.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Yeah, want to be a sponsor, just shoot us a message.
Yes. Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, one of the things, and I can just, since we're on sponsors real quick, I tried to do it this year, but I started too late. So that's why I'm starting in January. Again, hating to ask people for money, but it's part of it. We will have some corporate sponsorship packages available. So if you give X amount, there will be some incentives to go along with that as a way of saying thank you for giving X amount. We'll put that, I'm going to start a sponsorship page on our website, so we'll put all that information there. And so, yeah, corporate sponsor packages. We did a program this year. We didn't do that last year, so the program will be a great spot to put our sponsors in and that sort of thing. You'll get discounts on merchandise. There's some other things. I've got it all written down at home, and it'll be great. So we'll get that going next year.
Well, why don't you, while you're talking about that, just say where the website is, and
yes,
repetition will help people to hear it.
Yes. So it's Judgment Day, and our tagline is "Are you ready?" So I didn't want to do Judgment Day. Are you ready.com? So it's JD. Are you ready.com? I thought it was on here. It might not be on here. Oh, we got to put it on there next year. But anyway, JDAreYouReady.com. That's the website. We already have our our volume 3 page on there with the countdown. It's 300 something days away, but it'll be here before we know it. And we'll give us we won't tell you the story, but next year we will be at Cleveland Middle School. This year we were at Lee University. It was fantastic, amazing facility, amazing tech crew. Everybody was great. The thing that hurt us, I think, this year was parking. Cleveland Middle School, as they say, has ample parking. We will have plenty of parking, and I'm thinking that this coming year, that will help us out a lot. So I'm very, very excited about that. We'll be away from downtown. We'll be away from the block party on Halloween night. So once you go get your candy and everything, you can come and see the show, and that'll be great. So JDRUready.com. She is right about repetition. JDRUready.com.
Okay, so talk a little bit about your merchandise and where you came up with the ideas for all the stuff that you did. You got,
yes.
Of course, everybody has.
Sure, yeah.
Caps and T-shirts.
Caps and T-shirts, yeah. I thought when I started, I was like, anything I can slap Judgment Day on, I'm going to get, and I'm going to try to sell. Obviously, Joel Rogers is really at the front of my mind right now. So let me talk about our coffee. So Inman Coffee does this really cool thing where, and my church did it. It's what made me think to ask Joel. So if HyderHangout wanted to go and start a HyderHangout blend, she would get some friends together, and she was part of our coffee tasting group.
That was so much fun.
It was.
Coffee.
Yes. And I don't drink it. It's so funny. I sell it, try to sell it, but, you know, it's so funny that I don't drink it. So you start out and you try 15 different types of coffee from around the world. So I'm like this after I left. I'm like, oh my gosh, coffee.
But you only got that much from each one.
Yeah, but 15 different ones by the it gave me a buzz, man. I'll never forget it. And then you write down what you like. Then they come back. Then you go back, and out of all the ones you like, you get 5 different blends. And then you pick. And what's so cool about our team is that we all picked the same blend. Every person picked the same blend. So this is our biggest seller. And a huge shout out to Joel and Cheryl. Hopefully they'll see this down the road sometime. But we came up, and they let us create the label. So we just made it simple. It's got our name, Are You Ready? And then our website on there. And then it says Ministry Partner of M in Coffee. So what's cool, when you buy our coffee, you are helping Judgment Day. You are also helping the Salvation Army, because that's who we get it through. And then you're helping coffee bean farmers in 3 different countries. It's Colombian, Ethiopian, and Brazilian. And I had this one lady say, you know, I'm a coffee snob, but that's the best coffee I've ever had. And and so we all came up with it. We sell it in 12-ounce bags. You can get ground or whole bean. So if you grind your own, we got you covered. If you don't, we got you covered there. We sell it for $12 a bag. And then we can deliver it locally. I'm set up to ship around. I'm actually, I ship to Alaska recently, which is cool. But really, I can ship anywhere in the world, I think, which is awesome. So, of course, with coffee, I'm not sure. But any of our other merchandise, we could ship all over the world. But the coffee is the best seller. We've got tumblers, mugs. We did a coffee combo. So if you get a bag of coffee and a mug, you save $5, because I work in marketing. So it's like I'm trying to think about those ideas. We're looking at adding beanies and toboggans. I have a guy that does our mugs, that does beanies and toboggans. And
who would that be?
That is Simon J. Marketing, James
Yes.
Dunn. And James actually helped us out this year. We filmed our first show in a studio, and he burnt all of the DVDs for us. This year we got to shoot it at the venue. We're just having some technical difficulties, so I'm trying to get that to James. So Simon J. Marketing for all your marketing needs as well. He's expanding what he does, embroidery. Gosh, he does the mugs for us. I think he does sublimation, which is, I think, the Stampin' On or something like that. He does a lot. So SimonJMarketing.com is his website.
And, okay, speaking of DVDs.
Oh, wait. Costumes. This lady right here. I know that's not a merch thing, but I did want to give a huge shout out, because the first year I forgot to put her in our slideshow, and she's never let me forget it. This year, though, we got her.
I've only said it 5 times.
Whatever. 5 times every day. No, I'm just kidding. But this year we got her an ad in the program, so shout out to her. So not only is she our one of our cast, but she's also, if you saw the show this year, all those robes this lady. So, but anyway, sorry, go ahead.
The favorite one was the Jesus one.
Oh yeah, the Jesus row. Oh yeah,
beautiful. So
we upgraded him from last year, big time.
Oh, big time.
I called him. I'll just say, I called him Thrift Store Jesus last year because we literally got everything from a thrift store. I don't know why I didn't think to turn her loose last year. So this year we upgraded Jesus. I was so thankful.
Well, we were on a budget last year more than we are.
Well, that's true, yeah.
But you got me all. I forgot my question now.
Oh. You didn't write them down?
No, I don't.
I'm so sorry. I missed you.
No. I want to know about the traveling part.
Oh, yes.
I know about the traveling part.
Yes, you do, because we've done some shows.
The audience doesn't know about the traveling part.
So, my thought was, since we're only doing one show in Cleveland every year, that's great. That's our big main event, if you will. But I always wanted to tour it, because I thought, when Tyler Perry started back in the day, he had these big shows, and he'd go all over the United States touring, and I thought, how cool would that be? And maybe someday we'll get to that level. But last year we got done, and then going into early this year, we got invited to a church in Cleveland that wanted us to do it. And the name came to me, One Night Only. So we're like an evangelist. We come in, we do it, and then we're gone, and we're on to the next place. So the One Night Only experience was birthed. So basically what that is, if your church wants us to come, you reach out to us, we figure out a date, we put you on the calendar. We do not charge the church. We will help you market it, so we'll make posters exclusive for your event so that you can put them out in your town. We'll promote it on our social media. And it's so basically we're coming, we're doing a soul winning event. We're not charging the church. All we ask for is a love offering. So we're really going out on faith, because you don't know how many people are going to show up. You don't know if you're going to make the money you need to feed your people, because obviously if you're on the road, you got to feed your people. Got to put gas in the cars. Got to, I don't want anyone to travel for free, so we got to give everybody gas cards that drives, and that sort of thing. But I'll tell you what, everyone we've done, God's provided money, and obviously that's not why we don't do it for the money. We come to see souls saved, and souls have gotten saved when we've gone on the road. That's it. But I'm just saying that the money is part of it. So all we ask for is a love offering at the end, and we sell our merch. So we bring our merch table, set it up, and one of the cool things is wherever we do an event, we do a try. I call it try before you buy. So you can sample our coffee before you drink it. So we will have our coffee at all the events. We've got a little brewer. You can get you a little cup, put your cream and sugar in, and try before you buy. And if you like it, then you can buy as much as you like. So that's kind of how the traveling thing works. So there will be a thing on our website. Look for One Night Only. If you click that, there's a little form. You fill out the form, your name, church's name, that sort of thing, where you at, what date do you want. And we do have our first date booked. I think I told you.
Yeah.
We're going to Lifegate Church May 18th in Dalton, Georgia. So that one's a little close to home, which is great. So be a little bit easier for everybody. But there is a very huge possibility we'll be going 4.5 hours away to North Carolina.
You do know the lady that asked me is the mother of Pure Clean.
We're talking about Cynthia?
Yeah.
She's not the mom.
Is she not mom of one of no.
I don't think so. So Charles and Sharon Atkins own Pure Clean, and Cynthia moved here from North Carolina and works with them.
I could have sworn that she said that she was part of the family, but maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, well, maybe she is.
We'll have to ask.
We will. Sorry, that'll be another episode. No, but yeah. So she wants us to come and perform our show that we did this year. So typically the One Night Only experience is the original show, but get this. It's in Mayberry, so it's the town that Mayberry was kind of set on for the Andy Griffith show. And they have the Andy Griffith Theater there. So I am going to call them and ask them what they would charge. Is it open to people in the community or outside the community to come?
Wow.
And we might be
Here I'm getting goosebumps already.
Yeah. Yeah, this is all in the works, so I'm kind of, I don't know. I don't, that's all right to talk about. It's in the works, so none of this is in stone yet. But we could be actually performing at the Andy Griffith Theater, and I forget the name of this town in North Carolina, forgive me, but it's the town that Mayberry was set as, yeah.
Based
on, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but one night only, come, let us come. Again, a love offering is all we ask for, so we don't tell you, this is how much you're going to pay. We just ask for an offering. Let us sell our merch. God takes care of that. I'm not worried about that. I never have been. Souls are saved. And then the idea is that if the church hosts it, we come in, people get saved, they're going to be like, wow, this church allowed this event to come in. They must care about the people. And we hope that people will come to your church. You get new members. So that's kind of the idea behind that. So
what was the most memorable part of any of those travel one night events for you?
Oh, seeing the people come. Well, we did a show.
Well, was there one particular one or no?
Oh, there was more than one. So we did 3 of those this year. We're hoping to do. I'm hoping if we can get them all booked, we'll do 8 this coming summer. We did a show in Dunlap, and part of the people that came were part of a women's ministry, and I'll never forget, once we're done, we always allow the pastor of the house or ministry that we're at to come and to lead the altar call. And the gentleman came, and this woman came weeping to the altar, and that always touches me, because what God told me and what I heard as clear as day is that he's called us to preach the gospel from a different pulpit. So we're doing the same exact thing that your pastor does on Sunday morning at your church. It's just our pulpit is a little bit different. Our pulpit is the stage. And so, when your pastor's up there and he's preaching, and you get touched, you come crying to the altar. Well, that to me is the same thing that happened that night. That lady came down. You remember that? Yeah.
That was my.
She's bawling like a baby, yeah.
Yeah, and so was I.
Yeah.
Of course, I do that. I tend to empathize with a bunch of people.
Oh, sure, yeah. And that's part of it.
Yeah. But, yeah, when she came, she didn't come quietly. She threw herself on the altar.
Yeah. And then we did a show in Rossville, Georgia. And I remember this gentleman, he was very quiet. I think he might have been Hispanic or something like that, and he came in and he said we sold our hoodies at that time for $25. He said, would you take 20? And I said yes, and he took the hoodie, and he ended up coming back and giving me the 5. He said, that's $5 here. I was like, oh well, that's fine, thank you. That same man ended up coming and giving his heart to the Lord that night. He was the only one that came, which was fine. That was great. It's worth it for just one, I mean, if God wants to, if it's more, that's great. But even if it's just one, it's totally worth all the effort, putting it all in the truck and sending it down or wherever. So, it's great. So, but yeah, one night only. We want to book all those dates that we can next year. And I've decided that, a little behind the scenes information, how they used to, I was going to say you're old enough to remember, but then that sounds like I'm insulting you, and that's not what I meant. But when the rock bands would do a tour and they'd make the shirts and then they'd put the cities and the dates on it. So we're going to make a one night only 2024 tour t-shirt next year. So we're, if we don't book all 8, if we book 5, 6, whatever, we'll put those on there and we'll make a special tour shirt. So that'll be cool. So,
that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. I always let my guests ask a question of me.
Oh, Lord. Are you sure you want me to do that?
Yes, I do. Yes.
And
that puts you guys on the spot more than it does me.
It does. I was not prepared for that. I did not know. I thought I was going to be asked all the questions. What got you into the quilt and fabric business? What did you do that before you opened your business?
Oh boy. I sewed when I was 6. By the time I was 10, my Barbie doll had 500 hand-sewn outfits.
Oh my gosh.
When I was 12, I made my first quilt with my step-grandmother from Costa Rica. And of course, I was learning Spanish and she was learning English. And we made the front of the quilt, the top. And the OCD nerd that I was when I was 12, couldn't stand it that some of the rows did not match. And so the next morning we were supposed to sandwich it, which is, you know, where you do the actual quilting part.
Mm-hmm.
But in the middle of the night, I got up and I cut it up into a million pieces and threw it away. So I'm sad that I don't have my first quilt.
Oh.
And of course, Grandma was upset, but she understood because she knew that I was really OCD. I like to tell people I'm OCD in recovery. I had to learn how to not be that way so much when you have a shop, or I would stay here for 3 hours at the end of the day and straighten up stuff. So
Oh, wow.
I had to learn how not to. But long story short, I moved into a commune with my mom, and I did a little bit of sewing, but not much. When I left the commune, I had to try to find a job. I worked in a nursing home for a little while, and then I found a job as a alteration apprentice. So I've done sewing and healthcare, like kind of in tandem the whole time, and EMS. But I did, I worked at Fine's department store in Savannah, Georgia. And I look back now, you know, I was 17, 18, and my mentor was 35. And I used to think she was an old lady, and now I'm thinking, no. But one of my mentors there was 82, and she taught me beading. And she could still bead, but she couldn't tell what color they were, so we put her beads in the cups.
Oh.
But that's where I learned my alterations. And then I did EMS, met my kid's dad. We ended up with a business in Florida. Aaron, I'm sure, remembers, because he was 4 years old in the business. But we had small quantity, we made small quantity whatever somebody needed. We had screen printing, so we made little bags. We did Sinbad pants, all kinds of neat stuff. But I did EMS and fire and rescue and healthcare. 2008, I was nursing, and for health reasons, I had to quit nursing. And I had a bunch of, you know, craft stuff, fabric at my house. But in 2008, I quit being a nurse, and for a year I worked with my husband. And at the end of that year, I said, I'm a little bored. Can I open a fabric store in the basement? And that's when HyderHangout was born.
Shout out to Chris.
So I opened it in the basement, and I was in the basement for 9 months, and then I moved down to the building that's been torn down here.
Mm-hmm.
I was down there for a year. That was an interesting year, because you have certain people that are your landlords, and you learn a whole lot of stuff when you have certain people. And then I moved in here, and so I've been here since, and this is going on my 15th. Tomorrow is my 15th annual HyderHangout Christmas party. So that means we've been in this location 15 years.
Woohoo!
So we're starting on my 16th year.
Hope
here
to
in
see
the
you all
location.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you're done, it had just, while you were talking and I was listening, that's amazing. I did not know that. I just thought of where I want to, what I wanted to say before we ended. So if you have any other questions, by all means.
Well,
but that's amazing, and thank you for 15 years. And I will say, as a business, I don't own the magazine that I work for, but we've been doing business together, and she's one of those that I think will be in until she decides to shut it down, which I hope she never does. But
well, I've been told I can't. I've had a few, you know,
Chris wants you to...
No, not my Chris.
I thought Chris wanted you to be okay.
Customers say, I said, well, what are you guys going to do when I retire? And there was like 4 people in here, and a lady over there says, you can't retire. And I said, so you're telling me that I have to die here? And somebody else says, no, you can't even die. You're not allowed to die. You can't even
my goodness.
die. So I guess
I just thought it was Chris wanting her to be able to stay and run the business all day. I'm just having fun.
I know you are.
Yeah.
But no, I'm here until Jesus decides otherwise.
There you go.
So if I'm called somewhere else, but I'm called here, and this is where I'm at because I'm called here.
Yeah. And that's the same way I feel about Judgment Day. This is what God has called me to do. So next year, I'm going to officially launch our ministry that will oversee this. and all of our other projects. It'll be called Radical Praise Ministries. Why radical? Why would you put radical in a ministry name? The definition of radical means a considerable departure from the usual or traditional. And if you look at everything that is happening in our world today, and in our own country, in our world, it's all radical. You know, you have civil unrest in all of our major civil unrest in all of our major cities. I'll never forget seeing a video of a guy standing on the corner of a street, New York City, and this guy comes out of the camera frame, walks up to him, clocks him in the jaw, drops him to the ground, and walks off. The guy's standing there minding his own business, probably waiting to cross the street. That's radical. The riots, the wars, everything. So if we are going to reach a radical people for Christ, we have to have a radical approach to ministry. So I'm sorry to all the older folks out there, but church as usual, we can't do that anymore. We have to. I'm not saying that you shouldn't go to church. That's not. I love being in my church on Sundays. I sing in the choir at my church. I love my church. That's not what I'm saying. But we've got to think outside the box, think outside the four walls. So I said all that to lead up to what we're also doing next year. In addition to the tour, in addition to next fall's play, we are going to take our first play and turn it into a movie if I can get this script done. I'm working on it. So we will have our 2 plays. We will have a major motion picture. I'm gonna try to work with the local theater here to see if we can play it in there, so people can actually, maybe like a $5 ticket deal, and that sort of thing. So you can, churches and youth groups can rent it out and take their groups to go see it and that sort of thing. And then some books, hopefully. I don't know if the books will be next year. I've got to just take it one thing at a time. It's hard to, I'm writing here, and then I'm writing here, and I'm writing here. I really just need to focus on one and then move to the next one. But the play, next year's play and the movie are top priority, and the tour for 2024. So 2024 will be our biggest year yet. And we also have a soundtrack that will come out with the movie. So that's exciting. I co-wrote the soundtrack with a friend of mine. He produced it, so it's all original music, all brand new. We have the Judgment Day song already on our website. So that's cool.
So DVDs are available of Volume 1, Volume 2.
DVDs are available. I have them now for $13, and then we can do a digital download, so we can just email to you. Those are $10. I wanted to have Volume 2 done before Christmas. It may not be. It may be next week. I'm working with my friend Jace that I mentioned. We're just having issues. It's all done and all edited and ready to go. We're just trying to get it on a master DVD so we can make the copies. So it'll be on the website. We do have a store on the website too. So if you go to jdareyourready.com, click the store, it'll take you to our online store. And the thing that I wanted to make sure to say, Susan and Rick and a family that I have just grown to love. They are my Latino family, and I love them. The Blasinis have been with me from the very beginning. I got to mention Saber too, because Saber was with us last year. He couldn't do the fall show with us this year just because of his schedule. It's not that he didn't want to do it. So I got to give those are all.
Wanda.
And Wanda. Oh gosh, and Debbie. Oh God, don't let me forget anyone. Yes, Wanda and Debbie. And Eileen was a part of this year's show through the pre-recorded video that we did. I didn't miss anybody, right? I don't think so. But I'm so thankful to have a group.
Mandy.
Well, Mandy came this year, yeah. What I'm talking about is the folks that have been with me for both. Yeah, and then we had new people. So we had Leslie and Rose Bryant. We have Mandy come on this year. Those were our new folks.
Mandy was Angel last year.
Not at North Cleveland. She joined us for the road shows this year, didn't she?
She did for the road shows.
The road shows. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mandy, we love you. We don't want to forget you either.
But remember the scene where she says it's your time?
Yes. And she was in the video too, yes. Because Debbie couldn't be with us for the road shows. But I say all that to say it's so amazing to have this faithful group of people. And I remember Angel told me, he's like, dude, I'm with you to the end. As long as I'm available, I'll be with you. So, of course, if I keep adding stuff like a tour and a movie, man, I don't want to wear them out. But we'll see what happens. So, yeah, I'm excited about 2024. It's going to be epic. It's going to just, and we're just going to.
So what can the viewing audience do?
Send money. No, I'm just kidding.
Send money.
Yes.
What about
pray for us?
Do you have any spots for if there's some actors and actresses out there?
Yeah, so I'm right in the middle of next year's show, so I don't know. And what I told my OG group is that I will present it to them first, and they will get first dibs because they have been with me, and I believe in honoring those people that have been with me since the beginning. And then whatever we have left over after that, then we will say, okay, well, we need this. So we need X amount of female actors, X amount of male actors, young, older, whatever.
Well, you can always have extras, and you can always have understudies, and you
We
can
can.
always have stagehands.
We can. Yeah, I just don't know for this fall show. Now, for the tour, we probably will need some extras and understudies because it could be, depending on the dates, that, you know, somebody might not be available, so we would need somebody to fill that role. So, yeah, if you're interested, we are here on Facebook. Look up Judgment Day. Look for the black and white logo. Follow us. You can shoot a message if you're interested and you want to get on our roster. That would be great because if we do get 8 shows from May to August, and I said we will do 2 shows a month, and we typically do those on the weekend because everybody works during the week, so it would be a Saturday or Sunday. I'm assuming that not everybody will be available for each of those shows, so it would be great. So if you're interested, shoot me a message through Facebook. If you know Susan personally, she has my phone number. I'd rather not put my phone number on social media, but I will give Susan permission. If you reach out to her, she can give my number to anybody that calls her. So that'll be great. Yeah, and I would love to add to our team. So yeah, that'll be great.
Yeah, I already know one day in June. I don't remember what the date is, but I just got approved for the big quilt show in
Good.
Pigeon Forge.
Ooh. All right, so if you're a grandma and you love acting, we'll put you on the roster just in case.
It's just that one weekend. So if
Cool.
if you can work around it, I can do the other weekends. But that weekend, I just found out like an hour ago.
Well,
I got approved,
congratulations.
and I'm excited about that. So
Just got back from Pigeon Forge yesterday. Love it up there. Snow on the mountain. So wonderful.
So did we have anybody ask any questions? Anybody say hello?
Christy and Wanda.
Christy and Wanda.
Christy said he is good to listen to, very interesting.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Christy. I don't know you. I don't think.
Is
I
it
know Wanda.
Christy Slagater? Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, she'll be here at the party tomorrow night. You can meet her in person. She can get your autograph.
Oh, no. You don't want my autograph. No. Come and get Knucklehead's potograph. He'll put his paw on the book for you. That's what you want to come and get.
Well, for those of you out there listening, and a lot of people listen afterwards, and I do try to go on there and look at it afterwards, and if there's any questions later on, I answer the questions. But he would love anybody to help with it.
Yes.
Pray for it.
Yes. Reach
money.
out. Yes. So we have a donation tab on our store. Obviously, though, that's credit card. So we don't get all of that. A fee, we use Square, so a fee, part of that fee, goes to Square. Obviously, that's fine. It's reasonable. But if you'd like to give cash or check, that would be great. You can message us. I can tell you where to send it. You can drop a check off here with Susan, and I'll get it from her. That would be fine. And you can make the checks out to RPM. That's for Radical Praise Ministries. So the checks can be made to RPM. If you want to Venmo, I have Venmo. I know if you don't know me, it's like, well, how can I trust him? If I'm sending it to him, how can I know? Listen, I don't fool around with God's money. You're just going to have to take my word for it. If you send it to my Venmo and you tell me it's for Judgment Day, it is not going in my bank account. It is going in Radical Praise Ministries bank account. I am not fooling around with God's money. But yeah, so pray for us. If you want to be a part, like I said, look us up on social media. Send me a message. Be happy to meet with you and see, where could you be an extra or whatever. That would be great. So yeah, we'd love to have you guys.
And
pray, big time pray. Yeah, because I feel like next year we're going to come under a lot of spiritual warfare because we're really going after it. Because God can take this movie worldwide if He wants to, and I've been told that there's possibility that we could get it on Amazon Prime. So that would be cool. So that means literally it's available around the world. And our DVDs can go around the world too. We can ship them around the world, like I said. So, and then the tour, of course. So, yeah. So that'll be great.
So yeah.
Big time pray.
The other thing that I want to talk to our viewers about is we're going to continue this show every Wednesday. So if you know of an artist of any kind that would like to be on the show, we will feature their art. And as we had the one last week that we had an awesome how-to, and they always make me learn it, but I do. But anybody
I couldn't
that
teach
would
you how to do anything. Sorry.
But we want people to go ahead and contact us at HyderHangout, Quilt Fabric and More, and any ideas you have for the show, any ideas, maybe even go to locations, we could do that. And
we'll have to do maybe do one of these from the stage next year. I don't know. Maybe we could bring you guys on location, show you behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I did mention Cleveland Middle School next year. It's going to be awesome. Sorry.
He's so excited.
You're trying to do a plug for your show, and I'm
no, the plug is fine. I'm just we're trying to wind it down because believe it or not, you went an hour.
I did. I just looked at the clock. I'm like, I was worried about going an hour, and 55 minutes. Okay, I'll shut up now.
You don't have to shut up now. We're just gonna say we're at the end of the show, and we've got our producer Mandy that is also the angel. We're gonna there she is. She's also
the angel with blue hair.
You didn't get in there.
No.
Yeah.
And I think
so.
And
she's the one that lines up the guests, and
I think Judgment Day needs a mascot. So if you guys come here and meet Knucklehead,
Hit me up on Facebook.
I love that dog. He about knocked me over when I came in today. He's like, "Roo, roo, roo, roo," and I'm like, oh my gosh, pow.
Well, that's because he loves you and you love him, and he can tell you when you love him. So
yeah, he'll be our unofficial mascot.
So we're gonna wind it down.
Yeah.
And y'all have a good week.
Bye, Wanda.
We don't know who's going to be here next week for sure, but we have some possibilities. And we do know sometime Jackie Corey's going to be on here. And we do have the storytelling people that want to be on here again. That's the coffee.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah.
Oh, I smell
It's
it.
empty.
I can still smell it.
Mm-hmm.
I know. You like smelling coffee more than you like drinking it.
Both.
That's
Yeah.
exactly how I am.
So we're going to sign off, and this is HyderHangout, the Hangout with HyderHangout, Quilt Fabric and More. Come and visit us.
And get your more on. Woo woo. Thanks.